So in 2015, I started supporting President Trump when he announced he was going to run. I was one of the first Catholic leaders, certainly at least among the clergy, that got behind him. I didn't get any complaints at that time. When I first started getting complaints? After I had indicated to Bishop Zurich of Amarillo that I had received word from a favorable bishop that he was willing to incarnate me in his diocese. Now, the rules of the church, for those that don't know, is that if you're under a bishop, but another bishop is willing to receive you, you can then ask the bishop you're under to let you go. Now, both of them have to agree. One has to agree to let you go. The other has to agree to receive you. And that agreement has to happen at the same time. So I had another bishop ready to receive me. So I made the appeal to Zurich, let me go. He did not want me doing this work outside the diocese with Priests for Life. But at the same time, he did not want me doing any work inside the diocese. He doesn't want me to do work outside. He doesn't want me to do work inside. So I challenged him. I said, you want me out of the priesthood altogether, don't you? Oh, no, never, 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 he said. But once I had that out, he has to have a really good reason for saying no. So he created a reason. I'm going to punish Father Frank for supporting President Trump. And you'll remember, too, I showed a video of an aborted baby. And in the midst of that, I said, the reason I was showing that was I was saying to the voters just before the 2016 election, you can protect this baby. How can you protect this baby? And babies like this, in other words. Well, you can protect them by electing people who will pass laws to protect them. He was more concerned about the politics than about the baby. And the reason I know that is that wasn't the first time I had shown an aborted baby. I had been showing aborted babies from when I first started working with Priests for Life. We had been burying aborted babies from when I first started working with Priests for Life. So going back to what you're saying, yes, it was the support for President Trump, not only in 2016, but then again in 2020. And I had in both campaigns an official role on, and we were working together on this, the Catholic Advisory Committee, right, and the Pro-Life Advisory Committee, and then at a certain point, the Vatican said, "Well, you can't have an official role in the campaign." Now, for some reason, they didn't say that the first time around, but then they said it the second time around, and I said, "Okay, I want to do things the right way. What do you want me to do?" And they said, well, you have to tell the campaign you can't be on that committee with an official title, because they had made me national co-chair of Pro-Life Voices for Trump. So I said, okay, the campaign cooperated perfectly, out of full respect for the church, out of full respect for my duties as a priest.
I was on Catholics for Trump, and I remember all of this in detail.
Yeah.
And I want to say I found it admirable of you that you did obey, because you were such a key voice and a pro-life icon that was respected. And when you were asked to go down, I remember asking someone in the campaign, what's up with Father Frank Pavone? He's leaving. Well, he was asked to step down, so he's being obedient. He's stepping down. He'll still be a pro-life advocate and all that, but he won't be official. And I was like, well, it's too bad, but I understand. Father Frank Pavone, as a priest, is obeying. And I think that's just one more testimony to you playing ball.
Yeah. After that, when they saw me still saying things favorable to Trump and the pro-life policies he was advocating and whatnot, then they got mad at me again. And I said, okay, so why didn't you tell me in the first place what you're really after? It's not technically being on the committee, is it? Why do we have to keep shifting the goalpost? Be open, honest, and straightforward right from the start. And let's see what we're dealing with. It's one thing to say a priest can't do X, Y, and Z specific things. It's another thing to say you can't voice your moral judgment about what's going on in politics. The church says we have to do that. And so this is where it becomes necessary to draw a line. I mean, the priest's obedience only covers certain things. You can't tell a human being that they have to stifle themselves when it comes to, especially, and in fact, it's just the opposite. We're being ordained precisely to speak the word of God into people's lives, including their lives of politics. And that's where we really do have an enduring conflict here, because if there are some in the church that are telling us not to do that, they're telling us to betray the very mission for which we were ordained.
Yes, and the idea that we as Catholics do not favor candidates or kings or archdukes or anything like that is ridiculous. I mean, you go back hundreds of years, thousands of years, and you see popes and archbishops and cardinals and clergy very much involved in these discussions and talking about policies and which policies conform to the Catholic faith and the Catholic morality and which ones do not. And I was shocked when it wasn't actually Joe Biden's campaign, but it was the Democratic campaign was using footage of videos with Pope Francis and Joe Biden together. Clearly, the Vatican or whoever is in charge of the Pope's image was licensing and allowing Joe Biden to use the Pope and the Vatican in Rome as part of their campaign. So to say that the other side never gets involved in politics or anything like that is just it's just not the case.